Jeff understands that the job of Attorney General is to serve and protect the people of the United States, and that is exactly what he will do, and do better than anybody else can. Jeff Sessions was a disaster as Attorney General. Should have never been Attorney General. He's not qualified. He's not mentally qualified to be Attorney General. We hope Bill Barr is going to be as good as we think, because Bill is he's a great gentleman, a great man. And by the way, when Bill Barr, who's, a coward, Bill Barr was a coward. Bill Barr didn't do what he was supposed to do. I fired him, and he has great hatred. In his new role as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Milley will serve as my top military advisor. I have absolute confidence that he will fulfill his duty with the same brilliance and fortitude he has shown throughout his long and very distinguished career. Milley, frankly, was incompetent. The last one I'd want to attack with as my leader would be Milley. John Kelly will do a fantastic job. General Kelly has been a star, done an incredible job thus far, respected by everybody, a great, great American. I know John Kelly. He was with me, didn't do a good job, had no temperament, and ultimately he was petered out. He was exhausted. This man was totally exhausted. He wasn't even able to function. I am confident that Jay has the wisdom and leadership to guide our economy through any challenges that our great economy may face. And, I had my own situation with Powell, and I beat the hell out of him. I was not a big fan of Powell. He was recommended by some people. I didn't like him. We are going to appoint Mad Dog Mattis as our Secretary of Defense. They say he's the closest thing to General George Patton that we have, and it's about time. It's about time. Mattis was a highly overrated general, didn't do the job, didn't do good on ISIS. Mattis was fired, as you know, by President Obama, and I fired him also. Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State. Going to do a great job. He's respected all over the world, and I think he's going to go down as one of our great, great secretaries. In an angry tweet this morning, he called Tillerson, quote, dumb as a rock and totally ill-prepared and ill-equipped to be Secretary of State. Mark Esper, who is a highly respected gentleman with a great career, West Point, Harvard, a tremendous talent, was just named acting Secretary of Defense. He has said, quote, you were a lightweight, a figurehead. He said Mark Esper was weak, totally ineffective. He said he would do anything I wanted. Secretary Chow, you've been so fantastic in so many ways. Transportation, it's just moving along, and you've done a fantastic job for me and for the country, and I appreciate all that you do. In his post on Truth Social, Trump said McConnell, quote, has a death wish and must immediately seek help and advice from his China-loving wife, Coco Chow.
Oh, my God. Donald Trump so quick to turn on his very own best people the moment they start telling the truth about him. In an interview on Fox News last night, host Bret Baier pressed him on this point.
We put people in that were great, and we put people in that weren't. I now know Washington probably better than anybody. I know the good ones and the bad ones, and we will have really great, strong people. I already know who they are, but we will have really great, strong people.
Okay. In 2016, you said that. I'm going to surround myself with only the best and most serious people.
Well, I did do that. This time, had tremendous. Look, we had the best economy we've ever had. The world has ever seen.
Your Vice President, Mike Pence, is running against you.
Yeah.
Your Ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, she's running against you. Your former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, said he's not supporting you. You mentioned National Security Advisor John Bolton. He's not supporting you either. You mentioned Attorney General Bill Barr, says you shouldn't be president again, calls you the consummate narcissist and troubled man. You recently called Barr a gutless pig. Your second defense secretary is not supporting you, called you irresponsible. This week, you and your White House called your White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, weak and ineffective and born with a very small brain. You called your acting White House Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney, a born loser. You called your first Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, dumb as a rock. And your first Defense Secretary, James Mattis, the world's most overrated general. You called your White House Press Secretary, Kayleigh Canadian, milquetoast. And multiple times you've referred to your Transportation Secretary, Elaine Chao, as Mitch McConnell's China-loving wife. So, why did you hire all of them in the first place?
Because I hired 10 to 1 that were fantastic. We had a great economy. We had phenomenal people in charge of the economy. We had phenomenal people in the military. I'm not a fan of Milley, and I'm not a fan of certain of the television people. But I knocked out ISIS. I defeated ISIS. They said, Mattis, it would take 3 years, and I don't think we can do it. I did it in a period of like 4 weeks.
There's a lot of people who praise you for your policies. I just said that.
That's true. Well, I mean, you just went through a list. But don't forget, for every one you say, I had 10 that love us.
No, I don't think so.
He was isolated.
Jonathan Lemire, Elise Jordan, Claire McCaskill still with us. Wow. I mean, Brett Baer kind of nailed him on a number of fronts here in terms of hypocrisy, lying, and just being a plain weak leader.
I did more for the black community than anybody with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln, whether you like it or not.
I think for me, you know, most
The reviews are in.
You have to go by where, look.
Here's what Trump's own people are saying about him. He's a f***ing moron. Rex Tillerson, Trump's Secretary of State.
We're lower than the world.
Lower than
We're
the
lower
world. He tries to divide us. James Mattis, Trump's Secretary of Defense.
You had a group on one side and you had a group on the other. Very fine people on both sides.
He's an idiot. John Kelly, Trump's Chief of Staff.
They weren't laughing at me.
A professional liar. Gary Cohn, Trump's economic advisor.
There will be no lies.
He thinks he's God. Barbara Rez, SVP of Trump Organization.
I am the chosen one.
Like an 11-year-old child, Steve Bannon, Trump's advisor.
I don't take responsibility.
I think we need to look harder at who we elect.
I don't think he's fit for office.
I have the most loyal people.
Can America survive 4 more years? He's a f***ing moron. 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 Rex Tillerson, Trump's Secretary of State.